Have you ever woken up, scrolled through your phone, and somehow felt even more tired? We live in a world that sells us self-care in bottles, candles, and weekend retreats. But what if real self-care doesn't cost a thing? What if healing starts not in a spa, but in your kitchen? By opening a window. This isn't a list of life hacks. This is about remembering something your body already knows, something the Japanese have quietly practiced for centuries. In the next few minutes, you'll discover 7 small rituals, so gentle yet so powerful, they've helped thousands return to themselves without needing more stuff, more noise, or more escape. And maybe, just maybe, one of them is the piece of peace you've been missing. Let's begin with a breath and a bit of light. When I was younger, I thought self-care meant treating myself. A new pair of shoes when work got overwhelming, a slice of cheesecake after a long week, a weekend away just to feel like I could breathe again. But here's what no one told me. If you have to escape your life to feel okay, maybe the problem isn't you. Maybe the life itself is too loud, too cluttered, too disconnected. Somewhere along the way, we bought into a myth that self-care is indulgence, that it's luxury, that it's something you deserve after running on empty. It became a transaction. Spend money, feel better. But what if we've had it backwards all this time? In Japan, self-care doesn't come after the stress. It prevents it. It's not a grand gesture once a month. It's a gentle habit woven into each day, quiet, mindful, and deeply human. And here's the part that really shifted things for me. They don't think of self-care as a reward. They think of it as respect for your body, your time, and your place in the world. Maybe that's what we've been missing in the West. Not another scented candle, but a return to rhythm. Not another podcast on productivity, but a moment of presence. Because self-care isn't something you buy. It's something you build. I once stayed in a small ryokan, a traditional Japanese inn, on the outskirts of Kyoto. No alarm clock, no TV, just paper-thin walls, tatami floors, and the soft rustle of wind through rice paper screens. At dawn, I woke to something I hadn't felt in years. Stillness. No traffic, no buzzing phone, just birdsong and the quiet breath of a new day. My host, an elderly woman in her 70s, greeted the morning with a single gesture. She opened the window, wide, slowly, as if inviting the world in. Then she stood there, eyes closed, simply breathing. In, out. Nothing more. No to-do list, no multitasking, just her and the morning air. That moment changed me. Because in that single act, opening a window, she was choosing how her day would begin. Not in reaction, not in rush, but in rhythm. Think about how most of us wake up. We grab our phones before our eyes are even open. We fill our minds with noise before we've even taken a breath. And we wonder why we feel anxious, fragmented, behind before the day even begins. But what if the first thing you did tomorrow was open a window? Let in the air, let in the light, let in a moment of presence before the world rushes in. It's not just about fresh air, it's about permission to pause, to begin with intention, to say, I am here and this day matters. There's a small tea room in Nara, tucked behind a stone path, where time seems to slow down. I was invited there once, not as a tourist, but as a guest. A woman in a simple kimono welcomed me with a soft bow and a bowl of matcha. But she didn't just make tea. She prepared it, measured the powder with reverence, poured hot water, not boiling, but just right, whisked in slow, steady circles, like painting the surface of a pond. No words, just breath, just motion, just now. That's when I realized this wasn't about tea, it was about time. Time given, time felt, time honored. In the West, we rush through coffee with one hand on the steering wheel. We sip caffeine like fuel for the next meeting. But here, the act itself was the care. Each part of the ritual pulled me out of thought and into the senses. The warmth of the bowl, the faint bitterness of the tea, the quiet sound of bamboo whisk against ceramic. And when I drank it, I didn't feel energized. I felt present. This is what the matcha ritual teaches us. Slowness is not laziness. Attention is not a luxury. Stillness is not emptiness. It's depth. So the next time you boil water, pause. Let it be more than tea. Let it be a return to yourself. A friend of mine in Tokyo once told me, "You Westerners listen with your ears. We sometimes listen with our nose." I laughed until she handed me a small wooden box filled with tiny envelopes. Each one contained a sliver of incense, delicate, distinct. She lit one, and we sat in silence. No talking, no music, just scent, rising, curling, disappearing. "Don't just smell it," she said. "Follow it." At first I didn't understand. Then I noticed something. My thoughts slowed. My breath deepened. I was no longer in tomorrow or yesterday. I was here. That's the power of scent. It bypasses logic. It doesn't ask you to analyze. It invites you to feel. In Japan, the art of kodo, the way of fragrance, treats scent the way others treat sound or poetry. It's not about perfume. It's about presence. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need rare incense to practice this. You can start with morning coffee, fresh laundry, rain on the sidewalk. What matters is not the scent itself, but the attention you give it. Because when your mind is spinning, a single breath of something real can anchor you back to what's true. Let your nose remind you, you are not just your thoughts. You are your breath, your senses, your moment, and this one is enough. There's a word in Japanese, komorebi, that means sunlight filtering through the leaves. It's a quiet word, a patient word, a word that suggests someone took the time to notice. I remember sitting under a tree in a Kyoto park watching sunlight scatter across the ground. It wasn't direct. It wasn't harsh. It was soft, like light had learned how to whisper. And in that moment, something inside me stilled. When was the last time you truly felt sunlight on your skin? Not just rushed past it, but noticed it? We spend so much of our lives indoors, under fluorescent bulbs, staring at glowing screens. We've built a world that disconnects us from the very rhythm that keeps us alive. Sunlight is not just light, it's regulation. It tells your body when to wake and when to rest. It lifts your mood, resets your clock, nourishes your cells. But more than that, it reminds you, you are not a machine. You are nature, too. So tomorrow, before the tasks begin, step outside. Feel the warmth. Let the light hit your face without distraction, even just for 5 minutes. Komorebi isn't rare. We've just forgotten how to see it. And maybe, just maybe, the sun has been speaking to you all along. You just needed to stop and listen. There was a season in my life when everything felt heavy. Not just my thoughts, but the room around me. Drawers wouldn't close. Shelves sagged under things I didn't remember buying. Every corner seemed to say, "You should deal with this." One quiet afternoon, I opened a drawer, just one, and I asked a simple question. Do I still need this? The answer, most of the time, was no. That was the beginning of something deeper than spring cleaning. It was a return to clarity. In Japanese culture, there's a practice called siri, letting go, and siton, organizing what remains. It's not about becoming a minimalist. It's about becoming honest. Every object you own takes up more than space. It takes up attention. It whispers to your brain every time you pass it. And when your environment is cluttered, your mind can't breathe. So I began small, a shelf, a drawer, a corner. Each time I let go of something, I felt a little lighter, outside and in. Decluttering isn't just about tidiness. It's about deciding what deserves your energy. It's about choosing presence over maybe someday. Because the truth is, we don't need more things to feel full. We need space to breathe, to move, to be. Most days, we touch water without feeling it. We wash our hands like it's a checkbox, quick, automatic, forgotten. But in Japan, even this simple act can be sacred. I once observed a monk at a temple outside Osaka. Before he entered the meditation hall, he washed his hands, slowly, intentionally, not just to clean them, but to center himself. He dipped his fingers into a stone basin, closed his eyes, and simply noticed the temperature, the weight, the sound of water falling back into water. That moment stayed with me, because water is always there, but presence is not. We talk so much about mindfulness as if it requires apps or retreats. But what if it begins here, with soap, with skin, with silence? Try it. The next time you wash your hands, turn it into a ritual. Feel the slipperiness of the lather. Watch the bubbles shimmer. Take 3 slow breaths as the water rinses away. It only takes a minute. But that minute can remind you, you're alive. You're here. And this, too, can be enough. In many Japanese schools, students clean their own classrooms, not as punishment, not because the school can't afford janitors, but because cleaning is part of learning. I once asked a teacher why. She smiled and said, "We clean the space so we can clear the mind." It's a simple idea, but a powerful one. Each morning, monks sweep temple paths, not just to remove dirt, but to prepare the space for the day's stillness. In the West, cleaning is often seen as a chore, something to get over with. But what if it could be something else? What if sweeping the floor helped sweep away yesterday's noise? What if wiping the table helped reset more than just surfaces? There's something deeply satisfying about physical work. It doesn't ask much from your mind, just enough to keep you present. It gives you immediate feedback. This was messy. Now it's clean. No ambiguity, no analysis, just clarity. Try it tomorrow. Wipe down the counter, fold the blanket, shake out the rug. Not because it's dirty, but because you're honoring the space you live in and the life you're living. Some mornings don't need coffee, they just need a broom. Self-care doesn't have to be loud, it doesn't have to be expensive, and it certainly doesn't have to wait. It begins when you open a window, when you feel sunlight on your skin, when your hands meet water, and you're fully there. If even one of these gentle rituals spoke to you, try it, just once. Not to change your life overnight, but to return to yourself. Slowly, softly. And if you know someone who's been feeling tired, a little lost, or simply needs a pause, share this with them. Because sometimes the smallest acts of care are the ones that bring us back home.